Hello, everybody, and welcome to our volunteer information session for FIRST Robotics Canada. I'm going to get my screen shared right here, and we're going to get this started. Thank you so much for joining us, for those that were able to join us live and also that are watching this recording. We're super happy to have you. So we'll get started with a quick introduction. That's me. I'm Jaylene Koshelski. I am a FIRST alum myself. I was on a team in high school for 4 years, have volunteered for a very long time before and after. And I just started working here a couple of years ago. Very happy to be our volunteer and alumni manager here at FIRST Robotics Canada and share all the things about volunteering with you all tonight. We're going to kind of deep dive into what FIRST is for some of our newer folks, and then also some different opportunities for those that are interested in taking some lead roles within our volunteer community. And let's get started. So for those that don't know what is FIRST, FIRST is so many things. It is a great community to be a part of, but here's a little snippet that I can put into words. We have a couple videos later as well, just to get you in that feeling and really understanding what our community is about. So FIRST is an acronym. It stands for the Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. It was founded in 1989 in the US, and Canada's first team started in 1998, and they've held events since 2002. There's been so much growth since that time, and now we have 3 programs, which I'll get into. It's a global organization. We have 100+ countries involved in various programs. It aims to inspire young people to be the leaders of tomorrow robotics competitions, and they are so much fun. Our mission first inspires young people to be science and technology leaders and innovators by engaging them in exciting mentor-based programs that build science, engineering, and technology skills that inspire innovation and that foster well-rounded life capabilities, including self-confidence, communication, and leadership. So we're not only just inspiring people to find their path within the STEM community, but also go beyond that. And we're building people. We're building that self-confidence and those soft skills that employers are looking for. And our students come out of our program a little bit different, with different skills and capabilities than the average high school student. We have 3.2 million youth participants since 1989. That is absolutely incredible. I wish I had the exact number for how many have participated within Canada, but as part of my job, that's something I'm working on continuing to collect data on, because there are so many teams for all of our levels within Canada, and that have been impacted by this program. Students develop essential skills like communication, time management, problem solving, and collaboration from a young age. So they're growing within our programs from the ages of 4 all the way through 18. I wanted to touch on our core values within our organization. So gracious professionalism is a term coined by Dr. Woody Flowers, one of the founders of our organization. And gracious professionalism embodies FIRST's core values by promoting high standards of work, mutual respect, and a commitment to making a positive impact in our community, but also the part about competition. So it's about working really hard to compete full, but also being respectful of our competitors is very unique in our community compared to many other sports. I played sports growing up, and if you have or you've seen that community, you don't often see teams working together. You're in a hockey tournament, you're not helping the other team if someone gets injured or something happens or someone gets stuck in a snowstorm or whatever. It's the most Canadian example I could possibly think of. But we have this community of people. If your robot is not working, if something's going wrong, you'll see people in each other's pits, which is where they're working on their robots, or at their tables, helping each other to make sure that for the next match, they're ready to go. They can compete at their highest level. So it's that competing at the highest level, also that respect for each other and the greater good for our positive, our commitment to that positive impact to our community. So these students are learning this from a young age, some of them 4 years old, and they're learning those things, these core values from that age all the way through 18, all the way through their schooling. And then they're taking that into their post-secondary education and into our communities. And we've seen that so much from our alum that are doing such incredible things. Our first core values: discovery, innovation, impact, teamwork, inclusion, and fun. All of this wrapped into, it is a really fun event. It's a super good time to volunteer with FIRST. And we want to make sure that you feel included in that environment and respected within it. So these are core values that we instill in all of our teams, our mentors, our students, and our volunteers, as well as our staff. Our community uses these as kind of a guideline for how we conduct ourselves at competition and beforehand. And now we're going to watch a short video. This is one of FIRST's newest marketing campaigns. We're really excited about it. I think it's really awesome, and it highlights some of the impact that FIRST has for students as alum. So let's give that. I'm just going to stop sharing for just a sec. I'm just going to make sure I share my sound with all of you, and we'll get that going. Okay.
Hi, I'm Erin, and I work on commercial avionics at RTX.
Hi, I'm Logan, design engineer at Nike.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I work on the autonomous tractor.
How did I get here?
How did I get here?
How'd I get here?
While you figure out your tomorrows,
build the skills you'll need today.
Hi, I'm Dean Kamen, the founder of FIRST. It's not about creating scientists and engineers. It's about creating the students that today will be the leaders of tomorrow. In high school, like many, I struggled, but I persisted with STEM. I believe that collaboration and competence lead to community and confidence. You can get anywhere by starting here.
With FIRST. Hi.
That just showcases some of the incredible things that alum from our community have been able to achieve. Just a short highlight, because there's only 3 of them, but we love sharing stories of the ways that this program has impacted so many individuals like myself and maybe some others on the call as well, watching this, and it's incredible. So we have 3 programs. So FIRST LEGO League has a couple branches: FIRST LEGO League Discover, Explore, and Challenge. Today we're going to be talking mostly about FIRST LEGO League Challenge, but this is kindergarten through grade 8 or 4 to 16 in ages. And in Canada, we only go up to age 14. So those opportunities, we're going to talk a little bit, but we basically have an opportunity for age-appropriate programs for all age groups of youth. That's catered to their skill level. So it challenges them as they continue to grow. As I like to say, as they get bigger, the robots get bigger, and a little bit more challenging as well, depending on which program they choose, which is incredible. Our next program is FIRST Tech Challenge. So this is grades 7 to 12 or ages 12 to 18. Again, the robots get a little bit bigger, a little bit more challenging. And then the program I've actually participated in is FIRST Robotics Competition. So this is high school, grades 9 to 12 or ages 14 to 18. So now I'm going to show you a little video about volunteering specifically. This came out of headquarters after this season and just shares a little bit about individuals' experiences within volunteering in FIRST, specifically in the US, but our community is very consistent across the board. So happy to bring the consistency in that gracious professionalism throughout our entire community worldwide.
Volunteering at FIRST is exciting and exhilarating and a way to give back to my community in a way that makes me feel full.
It has been really fun and inspiring to see, excitement of the students and the accomplishments that they achieve at the end of the competitions and the things that they have learned. Energy is high.
We are Saucy Blue Box Team.
Quite a life-changing, like you will want to do it again and again.
How did you come up with this idea?
Mentor, coach, partner, referee. FIRST is a very diverse community. There's a spot for everyone. I've enjoyed meeting different people and learning from them.
When you volunteer, you walk into an event and it's another family that's there. And even if it's your first event, you'll quickly become a part of that family. These are the people that are my friends now and that I love to spend time with, and we all met through volunteering at events for FIRST.
I know my life trajectory would have been very, very different if my high school didn't have a FIRST robotics team on it. It's given me opportunities I would never have had without it to take on leadership roles that I wouldn't necessarily had yet, and I've been able to carry that over in the workplace setting too.
Where are you going to put your robots?
On the bottom.
It's a really good feeling to be able to kind of continue that legacy.
We have judges, referees,
Cuers, pit admins.
Your first technical advisor.
As a volunteer, you always expect that it's all about giving back. But FIRST has seen me through all different stages of life. I came in with more of a non-traditional background with, I'll say less direction in life, and then along the way you just have the opportunity to grow yourself. Today I'm actually a director of engineering at a company that I only learned about because of their sponsorship and engagement in the FIRST program.
Volunteering at FIRST is one of the best choices I made in my life. Whatever someone wants to do, whatever background you have, there is a way to contribute.
You'll see so many of those volunteers have been around for so many years, and that's just a testament to our community and how passionate you can become of our organization and the energy that these competitions bring. And seeing these students, like these two girls on the screen, and their excitement over their robot accomplishing whatever it was in this, can't see the robot quite in the photo, but so much inspiration and so much energy that they bring. And when you're at the events, you just feed off of their energy. We're just getting into event season, and I'm on the tip of my toes, so excited to go to an event in person as we've taken the summer off from our competition events. So FIRST LEGO League Challenge. So students ages 9 to 14 design, build, and program Lego robots. So you see that in the top right corner there, that compete themed missions on a competition table. So the competition table is quite large. And there's different challenges on it. So you'll see in those photos, there's a Lego components across the table, and they'll do different things. They have to program their robot autonomously to compete some of those challenges. So it might be picking something up, might be dropping something, pushing something, driving over, all sorts of different challenges. It's incredible what Lego and FIRST come up with to challenge their students every year. But each season, it centers around a real world issue like environmental sustainability or transportation. This year we're all about, it's called Dive, and that's the overall theme for our organization. And we're all about like ocean conservation and just understanding the ocean in general and researching it. So it'll be interesting to see what projects come out of that with the FIRST LEGO League Challenge. It encourages teams to participate in a research project revolving around that real world issue, and identify and solve a relevant problem to it. Through this process, teams research, innovate, and present their solutions alongside the robot to judges at the competitions, which is some of our volunteers, and they tackle these challenges in a fun, hands-on learning environment. I don't know about you, but those two girls, like, we're having a lot of fun. Our event season starts in November, so our first event for that will be November 30th, and it goes through mid-January. And these are single-day commitment volunteer roles. So we'll just go to the next slide. These are where all our events are across Ontario this year. So we have very specific dates across in November 30th, November 7th, December 7th, December 14th, and December 15th. And then our FIRST LEGO League Challenge Provincial Championships will be at Durham College this year, January 18th and 19th. And just a note with that event, you do not have to volunteer for both days, although you are completely welcome to sign up for both days. But we would also invite you, if one day works better than the other, we would be very happy to have you for just one of those 2 days. They do run us 2 separate events, one being our Eastern Ontario Provincial Championships and one being our Western Provincial Championships. So that's FIRST LEGO League Challenge. I will drop a link as well in the chat that will provide more description on some of the roles later in the presentation. FIRST Tech Challenge is our next program. So teams of up to 15 members, ages 12 to 18, design, build, and program robots to compete in head-to-head challenges in an alliance format, guided by adult coaches and mentors. Students gain STEM skills, practice engineering principles, and learn the value of hard work and collaboration. while also managing fundraising, branding, and outreach for awards. Robots are reusable year to year and programmable in multiple languages, including Java. So they're really learning those real world applications and skills. So you'll see on some of the photos on the screen here, these robots are about the size of a milk crate is what I would compare them to. So they're much larger than the Lego robots, but we still have one more level to go with bigger robots. Noting for this season that our competitions actually start November 16th and go through mid-February for this competition. And these are also single day commitment volunteer roles. Some of the volunteer roles for both of these, there's an option to assist with setup and such. So as you get into those lead roles, we might ask you to come for the evening before just to get all set up and make sure we're ready to go. Maybe help with load in, that kind of thing. But for the most part, single day commitment for a lot of those intro roles and most of the roles in general. And this is actually the newest competition to Ontario. The competition's been around for a while, but we just started really building it up in the last couple of years. And we have a lot of events across Ontario. So you'll see all across Ontario here, up north and throughout Windsor to the south. And our FTC provincial championship will be at Brock University this year. We're very excited about that partnership. And it'll be February 23rd, which is, I believe, a Sunday. So we'll be excited to be at Brock for the first time for one of our events. And yeah, we have events running all across Ontario for this one as well. Next up, FIRST Robotics Competition. So teams of students ages 14 to 18 compete in an international sport-like robotic program where they design, build, and compete with large robots in a series of challenges and games. Emphasizing teamwork, innovation, and STEM education, the competition inspires students to develop their skills in engineering, programming, and problem solving, while fostering a passion for technology, collaboration, and friendly competition. So that gracious professionalism really coming in there. It goes through all of our programs. And you'll see it in the larger photo here. This is last year's game. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on, but essentially there are 3 robots on the field at a time. It's a very large field. This photo here was taken, we basically take up the entirety of an ice hockey rink. So half will be the field, and then the other half will be the pit area where teams set up and take down their robots and fix them and get them ready for the next match. This previous game, they were hanging on this chain at the end of the match and shooting these rings, which actually aren't in the photo right now, but into different leveled goals. So every year the game changes for all of our competitions. So regardless if you volunteered for 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, every year the competition changes. The energy is still high, but it's always interesting to see what teams come up with and the creativity that they bring along with them, with their mentors, guiding them to compete at these competitions. These are all of our events for our FIRST Robotics Competition. So again, all across Ontario, at many of our colleges and university partners, as well as some community partners. And our FIRST Robotics Competition Ontario Provincials will be back at the International Center in Mississauga from April 2nd to 5th. And these ones, I will note, are 2-day commitments. So likely within these dates, the latter 2 days are the full days that our competition, the first date in that. So for example, if we're looking at a Newmarket event, February 28th would be our load in and setup day. That day would start around 2 p.m., 2 to 4 p.m., depending on your role. And then we would ask you for most of that day on Saturday and Sunday to be there for the entirety of the day, meaning you get there fairly early. They are long days. We do feed you, don't worry. We got you for all the meals that are appropriate for your volunteer role and that your hours that you'll be there, including breakfast. So we'll supply that. And then again, depending on the type of role that you're doing, if you're in a more of a leadership role, we ask you to be there for the entirety of that first day to help with setup and such. But if you're a newer volunteer, we'll definitely do the evening of day 1, and then the latter 2 days will be the entire day. Okay, looking at some general volunteer roles. So these are a lot of the introductory roles. You'll notice that the training for some of these is a little bit lower, but there's so many roles: field reset, field assembly, and disassembly. So that would that role there would be one that's before the event and then after the event. If you're not able to volunteer for the days of the event, but you still want to be involved in some capacity, that's a fantastic option. If you're mentoring a team, but you want to come out and help, that's also another opportunity, especially with our FIRST Robotics Competition. Those fields are very large. They take a lot of human power to make them. So we need a lot of hands to assist with that. So if you're ever interested in just helping with one of those, we would always accept. You basically get guided to go through that with some of our leads. Our judge advisor assistant is another role we recruit for. So this would be in the judging room, and you'd be kind of doing an admin role within the judge area. There are some opportunities with First Lego League with that role at provincials, but less so at some of our other qualifying events. Our official scorer role is available only for the FIRST Robotics Competition. That role is interesting. It works right with the referees. You're right near the field. You get to feel all the impact and be right there. Essentially, you do a training, and then you are the one that is kind of manually inputting the scores. I would like to note as well, we do know what the First Lego League and the First Tech Challenge competitions are for this year. But First Robotics Competition, we will all find out together the first Saturday of January. So our programs are brought out periodically throughout the year for competition season. We're always looking for photographers to help capture our wonderful events. So if you are an amateur photographer or looking at getting more experience, we're always looking for someone to do that. Pit administrative support. This is very much an admin role. This is a role where you can learn so much about the program, about the competitions, and interact with a lot of teams. Practice field, practice table or field attendant. So this is the practice area that all the teams will have the opportunity to practice at that's not on the competition field. So you'll be just kind of making sure people sign in and follow the rules there. There's restrictions on how often they can go on to that practice field or practice table. And so you'll just be managing that. Again, you'll have a good opportunity to see how teams are strategizing and interacting with each other in that area. Next up, we have cure. So you'll be working with a lead to make sure people get where they're supposed to be at the right time. So you're super duper important. Like all our roles, they're all very important to the success of our events and the overall experience for our students. But our cuers will be those that make sure our teams get to the right judging rooms or to the right fields on time so that our day runs smoothly. Another opportunity that's really cool to interact with teams, especially if you're waiting and they're also waiting, you can chat with them and learn about their robots or just their team in general. Referees a role we have for all of our programs. This role is super fun. You get to be right by the field. You do have a training and you do have a lead that will kind of guide you through what that program, what that looks like, but you do have a training that you have to complete ahead of time. It's also best if you're not involved with the team that's competing at that event, just for conflict of interest. But this is a completely open role for anyone that's interested. You don't have to have first experience, but it does help if you do, but we're open to training if you're interested in that one. It's super fun. You get to be right next to the robots. Like you're the closest to the robots. So robot inspector, if you do have first experience, this is a great role for you, especially if you've been experienced with designing and building a robot. You have the opportunity to inspect and make sure that it fits all the guidelines that First HQ has laid out for that particular game and challenge. And this is a role that we're always recruiting for, specifically for our FIRST Robotics Competition provincial championships. We're usually looking for a lot because we do have a lot of teams there. So if you are a mentor or you know someone that would be interested for the first day when we load in, just to help out, kind of get that flow going before we start qualification matches, we're always looking for people to help with that specific day. So even if you can just volunteer for that day, we would greatly appreciate it. Safety attendance. So safety is a very important aspect within our organization. There's robots, there's tools, there's lots of things going on. So we want to make sure that our community is very safe. This person would be specifically working with our safety glass table, as well as our safety managers, just to make sure that we have alignment with people going into those areas with safety glasses and just being mindful of the safety aspects that go into entering the pit area. Scorekeeper, this is an opportunity for all of our programs as well. You get to sit at the computers and just you get a training as well, so don't be too worried. And you're not the one that's actually doing the score. That would be a combination of the official score as well as sensors on some of the fields, but you would be inputting the score and working with our FIRST technical advisors or FTAs and our field crew to make sure that the score is accurate for that event. And timekeeper. So for FLL challenge, we have an opportunity for you to be a timekeeper on the table, kind of hit the go button and make sure everything's good. And I didn't explain field resetter, but field resetter, you reset the field after every match. It's also a really cool opportunity for a lot of our students that maybe have a big team and you want to do something and you want to be close to the field. That's a great opportunity. You kind of get front row seats. It's really cool. And you get to reset the field after every match. So depending on the program, that's what you would be doing. So for First Lego League, you'd be moving all the Lego back to where it started to make sure that it's ready for them. So those are all our general volunteer roles. For a couple of them, you can volunteer at as early as the age of 13. Many of them do require you to be 18 or graduated from high school to volunteer. And that's more just because our programs are offered to those that are 18 as well. So we just want to make sure there's an age differentiation between our participants as well as our volunteers. So yeah, if there's any questions about that, let me know. But those are some of the introductory roles. If you're interested in first getting started with us, this is kind of where you want to start. And if you're here to learn about lead volunteer roles, we have so many. So first technical advisor, you see them probably running around with their blue shirts, FTA on their back. They're the ones that are making sure that the field interacts and communicates with each of the robots. This is more of a technical job, but it does not mean that anybody can't learn and grow within that community. So this is an opportunity. All these roles do require training, some more than others, but this is one of the leadership roles. So these roles do require a level of leadership as well as approval from whether it's your volunteer coordinator or First Canada staff or someone within the community, just to make sure that you are ready to take on that role. Oftentimes what we will do is, if you are interested in these roles, we'll have you shadow the person that is leading that role at the event. And that way we can learn to see if you are ready to take that leadership role on. Some of that is a little bit different. So for judge, for example, we recruit in a little bit of a different way, but you can sign up to judge, whereas these other roles, they do require a level of training that is more of a one-on-one. So even for your first event that you do technically lead, there will likely be somebody there to support you just to make sure that you're hitting the ground running and you feel good and confident in your role. Control systems advisor is another technical role. This is good for someone that's good at programming and is interested in that aspect. So we often have 2 to 3 at each of our FIRST Robotics Competition events and a few as well as the FTC events. This is, again, a role that you would train in before you become a lead. MCs and game announcers, very similarly, for some of our qualifying events, it runs a little bit different, but for some of our bigger events, provincials, and for our FIRST Robotics Competition events that are a little bit larger, we do have some training internally, and our lead MC and game announcers will take you through that training. Field manager or supervisor, this is the person that builds the fields, puts them all together, makes sure everything's to spec, and is ready to go so that it's consistent from competition to competition for all of our teams. So this person would also lead all of the field resetters. Our head referee is the head referee. They are the ones kind of make the last call with referee calls, and is also the place where all the referees would go for like questions and such, as well as just confirming calls. And yeah, so this person would definitely need a lot of referee experience at first, but could look into being a head referee at some point. Judges, we do recruit a little bit different for judges at some of our events, but you're always welcome to put your name in and see what happens. We do enjoy having some people from some of our sponsor companies come out and do this role. And we do ask that you're not involved with for a FIRST Robotics Competition, you're not allowed to be involved with the team, just to make sure there's some separation between yourself and all the other teams. It runs a little bit different for First Leg League and First Tech Challenge. So when I do send the roles, just double check if that fits for you, if you are a mentor. But if you're a mentor for a different program, you're welcome to work with one of our other programs. Judge advisor runs similarly. It's kind of like head referee for the judges almost, but you would be kind of in a leadership role, just guiding the judges through the judging process and making sure they're all trained, as well as just making sure they're going through the process in a timely manner to fit the restrictions of the day. Our lead queuer, you'll be working with all of our queuers and just making sure that that flow is going smoothly. You would be one of the points of contact for our pit administrator, who will let you know as teams need to be queued. You'll be working together. Our lead robot inspector, kind of the same thing, would lead our overall robot inspection process. And you would work on just making sure that as robots get inspected across the event, everything's going well. And if there is a challenge facing a team, you would probably be the first person to support in that aspect. Pit administration supervisor is the lead of our pit admin. So as I mentioned, our pit is the area that all our teams go back to fix their robots, get them ready for the next match. It's also the space that for some of our programs, they would talk to our judges. So for First Robotics Competition and part of First Tech Challenge, they would be able to do that. This is more of, sometimes feels like a help desk. It's the first place where everyone goes to ask all their questions. So this is a really good role to have experience with first. Potentially one of your pit administrators have experience with the venue or the area. But it is a fairly administrative role. So we do ask, we're looking for someone that's fairly organized, but this role is not a technical aspect. And some of these are and some of these aren't. So there is a variety of roles available. You don't have to be an engineer or technical background to volunteer with us. There are some roles where it's helpful, but there's a lot of opportunity. Our safety manager role kind of works with that safety attendant. You do have a little bit more of a responsibility with working with like our safety captains for each of our teams. You'll run a little safety meeting, just going over some of the guidelines of the competition and notes that are specific to that one. And we will provide you with some training ahead of time in addition to our HQ training, and have a meeting ahead of time. And volunteer coordinator. So this is the person, again, a more of an administrative role that works all year long. Not quite, but they just got started for our events for First Robotics Competition, and essentially they get all these volunteer applications for all these wonderful roles and assign you to them. They're also the main point of communication between our volunteers and the event. So they'll be sending you all the updates and such that you would need to know. One note is we are always looking for people to shadow in these roles for all programs. If we have so many events and we only have so many volunteers, and so we're always looking to grow our volunteers in whatever areas they're interested in. So if this interests you in any way, I do have a QR code later and you can fill out a form. So we'll go over that. Typical volunteer pathways. So we just went through all the rules, but I did want to share some of the pathways to get places. So some of those leadership roles. So some of them are pretty self-explanatory. Being a head referee requires you to be a referee for a while, lead queuer. This one on the other side is a little bit more complicated, but essentially there's opportunities to grow in all sorts of different directions and lead in different ways. So a lot of different aspects of our robotics competition. This one's more specifically toned for First Robotics Competition, but it allows basically for you to learn a lot of different roles and grow within them. So if you find that robot inspection isn't for you, we can try out another role that fits some of your skills and see how that goes. There are so many different roles that I don't know anybody that's tried all of them, but usually you will find one that fits you and that you have a really good time with. So just a couple notes here. Not all pathways are the same. So although those are drawn out, it doesn't mean they're a guarantee. You could, if you have really good skills with organization, and you could be a lead queuer for your first time and not have any queuing experience, and that's okay. That might not happen with some of the other roles, but there's opportunities there for you to grow. And these are just some of the typical ones that we have seen in the past and sharing with you so that you know some of those opportunities. They are still similar from program to program, but again, not universal, not exact. This is specifically for FIRST Robotics Competition, the way that it's drawn out, but there are a lot of similar roles between FIRST Tech Challenge, for example, and FIRST Robotics Competition, and then some similarities again for FIRST LEGO League. Just in general, age requirements for volunteer roles are available for anyone 13 years of age and older. But as you hit that 18, 19 age, we'll be able to offer you even more opportunities and also experience as well. No experience required to begin. So you don't need to have FIRST experience, don't need to have technical experience. We just ask that you come with a good attitude, gracious professionalism in mind, and excitement and curiosity to learn what our program's about. And we'll be super happy to invite you into our community. And I just had another note there, minimum age and certification requirements may differ between programs. Okay, that QR code is very blurry, but I did test it. So if you are interested in learning more about one of those volunteer roles, fill out this form. We're basically asking you for experience that you have within FIRST, some of the skills that you might have that align with that role specifically, the program that you're interested in volunteering for, and just another note that placement in these roles depends on those things. So experience, skills, and program needs. And cannot be guaranteed, but we do appreciate you letting us know if you are interested. And again, we can have a lead volunteer shadow you and or watch as you're working and kind of work with you to see if you'd be a good fit for that role and give you feedback to see where that would go. So that QR code's there for you to scan. Someone give me a thumbs up if it's working. That'd be super great. Or in the chat. Sweet, thanks, Tina. Yeah, so oh, now I'm going the wrong way. Any of these roles here, if you're interested at all, please let us know. We'd be happy to work with you to find a role. And another opportunity here is almost like stepping stones within our programs to learn. So if you're interested in becoming a field manager for FIRST LEGO League, that could be almost a stepping stone for you to try FIRST Tech Challenge and then FIRST Robotics Competition, because there are a lot of similarities, but again, they start smaller and they get bigger as we go. So there's opportunity there as well. Okay, what to expect after you sign up? So after you sign up, your wonderful volunteer coordinator will be your main point of contact from then on. You'll receive you will be assigned a role based on your experience, interests, and skills listed in your application. We do ask you if when you're filling out your application, please include some of those skills or interests that you have. It does help us assigning you, especially if you click assign me as needed, which is an option. It will help us a lot on finding a role that fits something that's interesting to you, especially if you're a new volunteer. You may have some training to complete based on that role, as I noted in the last couple of slides, and you've been assigned, so you'll complete that through your dashboard, which is also where you'll sign up, which I'll show you soon. You'll receive a volunteer information package of some sort from your volunteer coordinator with all that good information like parking, the dates, when you arrive, maybe the menu for any of the meals that will be offered to you. Yeah, so all that information will get to you ahead of time. And some events, especially the FIRST Robotics Competition and potentially some of your qualifiers for FLL or FTC, as well as potentially for our provincial events for FLL and FRC, FTC will host an orientation prior to your event for more specific information. So if you are volunteering with FIRST Robotics Competition, you'll see my face because I host those ones. And we'll just get you all prepped. We'll answer even more specific questions about your role if you do have those. But your volunteer coordinator is your main point of contact from the time you sign up and they send you that we got your application, you are registered, email, all the way through the competition. They're your main point of contact. What to expect when you arrive. So you'll get there It'll be very early. It'll be very exciting. And you'll go to volunteer check-in. You'll meet your volunteer coordinator or VC, and all the other volunteers you're going to be working with. You'll get a volunteer shirt and a name tag that we ask that you wear throughout the entirety of the time that you are volunteering with us. Unless you're a referee, you'll get a different shirt, but you'll still get a shirt. You'll be led to your volunteer area and introduced to your lead volunteer. Once that happens, that person's your main point of contact while you're in your role. If you have additional questions, your volunteer coordinator can be that person. You may have training or overview when you arrive. For example, if you're a field resetter, they'll go through things with you at that time. If you're a volunteer with queuing, for example, they'll show you the queuing route, that kind of thing. So there might be some light training the day of. You get to begin your role and have lots of fun and meet cool people at that time. And as I noted, all meals during your volunteer shifts will be provided. And again, you're going to have so much fun. Benefits of volunteering with FIRST. So there are so many, as noted in that video. Volunteering in general, you get to give back to your community, especially if you're an alum. You have the opportunity to give back to something that gave to you. If you're new to our community, you get to join us and learn about the impact that you're making, not only on like the community as a whole, but these individual students. We are a volunteer-run organization. We could not do this without our volunteers. There are very few people on staff trying to plan these events ahead of time, as well as so many volunteers that work with us, and we appreciate that. So you're not only just generally impacting the community as a whole by volunteering, you're individually impacting students and the trajectory of their lives. You're inspiring and supporting that next generation of leaders and innovators, and you truly are. Networking opportunities. You'll connect with some pretty cool people. We have some awesome volunteers that are like-minded to you. We find that FIRST is often the space where a lot of people find that they fit for the first time. When you're in high school and there's jocks and the cheerleaders and all the status quo areas in high school, for example, FIRST is often where some students find their first level of belonging, and we find that sometimes with our volunteers as well. You really feel like you're connected to this community, and you might meet some cool people. So you might also meet industry professionals and mentors. So whether they're somewhere in their career where you want to go, or you're chatting with a judge or one of our other awesome leaders in our community, you might meet some potential job opportunities. I don't know, it's happened. Skill development. So you'll gain some valuable skills in teamwork, leadership, and problem solving, just like our students. We inspire our volunteers and hope that they'll be able to grow in those roles as well. And that's why we want you to always continue to feel like you can grow within our community as well, with challenging with different roles that you're interested in. And as I mentioned, find a sense of belonging. The gracious and professional community that we have allows for passion to flourish, and individuals are excited about their future. And again, it's fun. I'm going to keep saying that, but it's fun. I did get a question in the chat wondering about if I can still do lead opportunities if I'm 17 at the year of competition, but turn 18 in the same year, or is it not possible? So what I would recommend to you is if you're still and you're interested in one of those lead roles, still fill that form out. But just at the bottom, I think there's an area to just add a history note. So just note that you are under 18 at this time, but you're interested in shadowing for future years. And we'd be happy to align you with a role that fits. So you could shadow for this year, for example, and then if you're ready and your lead feels that you are ready as well, we can try to put you in that role. Okay, how to sign up as a volunteer. We're almost there, friends. We're almost there. You're going to create an account on firstinspires.org. At the top, it says My Dashboard. You're going to click that, create an account. Please fill in as many fields as you possibly can. Like I mentioned, that skills area is going to be really helpful. Dietary restrictions, super important so that we can make sure that you are fed and nourished at our events. As I mentioned, they're long days, but we want to give you good food, and that'll help us do that. Any accommodations, so accessibility accommodations can be put into our portal now. That is a newer field that's just been added. We do also offer an opportunity later in the year if you do have any accommodations to fill out one of our forms. And either way, we will make sure to do our best to accommodate that within the role. But just also be mindful when you are researching the roles to find something that might fit your abilities and match that, so that you have a good day too. We want you to have a good experience. And of course, your t-shirt size, because we're going to give you a cool shirt. You're going to filter for the program and area you're interested in to volunteer for. So as I had noted, that big long list, you're going to complete your registration by selecting the days you're available and the roles you're interested in applying for. It's really helpful if you do select some roles you're interested in applying for and not just assign me as needed. But if you really don't know, fill in those skills, fill in assign me as needed. It'll be a surprise, but it'll be a lot of fun. In addition to that, if you are applying for FIRST Robotics Competition volunteer role, we do highly prefer if you are available for those 2 days and potentially that evening prior. If you are only available for 1 day, there are a lot of limitations on the roles that we're going to assign, just because it's really hard to kind of plot people in for different days because the competition runs for 2 full days. And for FIRST Robotics Competition provincial championships, we're often looking for that 3 days. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, with a little bit of Wednesday. So it is a longer time. Again, we feed you, we support you. Those days are a little bit shorter. They are so much fun. There are so many teams and it is lively. And volunteers over 18 must pass a youth protection program screening process. FIRST HQ covers the cost of that. It runs through a system. It's super easy. You fill out all your information. Sometimes you might have to go to the post office just for them to double check your ID. Sometimes you don't. I'm pretty sure it's random or might have a couple other implications there, but we cover it. So we do ask that you do ours. We are not able to accept any other process from any other organization. Unfortunately, we have to have it ourselves. So we appreciate the cooperation with that to make sure that our youth are protected in our community, again, going along with our core values and our gracious professionalism. Okay, we did it, friends. Scan here. Sign up for our volunteer newsletter. We have more information about volunteering there. And if you would like to email me with any questions, my email is on the screen there. I look forward to seeing all of you at one of our events coming up this season. It is going to be a really good season. We are jam-packed with events across Ontario and Canada. In fact, if you're looking at doing more traveling, but yeah, I'm here to answer any of your questions and align you with a volunteer role that fits for you. So scan that QR code. You'll get our volunteer newsletter. I don't spam you. I try not to. I'll just let you know when there's new updates or programs are available or new fun things that are coming for our volunteer community. I will be sending the recording of this on the newsletter, so make sure you sign up for that if you would like to get the recording, and we'll be sure to send that on the way. Okay. Thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll see you at an event soon.